Hello? Oh gosh. This is so scary. Okay. Mic check. Okay, I have stuff to do. I have a lot of catching up to do. Oh no, the bitrate. Oh no. Please be green. Come on. You are turning green. Oh boy. Unstable. Oh no. I'm heckin' naked. Close the door. Close the door. Unstable. Help, 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 help. Can I lower the bitrate live? Okay, I did it a little bit. Not sure if that worked. It still says unstable, but we'll see. So I'm not sure. Okay, okay. I can hear myself. I need to put my clothes on. And I don't remember how to play. Okay. That is all my stuff. Oh, she puts it on automatically. Lovely. Worm tooth. Oh, a crafting component obtained from dying to a sandworm. Craft an unfixed crysknife? Wait, so there is a reason to die to the sandworm. Also, this thing depletes while I'm offline. So I don't know. I don't remember anything. Seth, hello. How's the stream? Because it says unstable. I don't know what it means. And my bitrate's in the red. Everything's wrong. I don't understand. Looks okay on your end? Okay. Okay. So I should leave it alone, right? It's okay. I'm fine. Okay, 1 is my knife. 2 is my heel. 3, what is this? My binoculars. I need a gun, don't I? I don't remember how to make a gun. Probably this thing. Move around and let's see. Well, I'm still in my base, so it might be different. Oh my gosh. The girls. Cats. Equip. Okay. Okay. Now I kind of know what I'm doing. I don't remember what I'm doing. but I kind of know what I'm doing. Okay, okay. How do I know what I've done already? What? I made this yet? I've made all this. Okay, but to do these, I need to do the quests. Got it. What is this? Ah! Okay, I'm helpless. I'm sorry. Okay. Ability, techniques. These I use, like I have to press them myself. I need a name for a cyborg dog. Drumstick. Wait. I name all my animals after food. Like, when I was playing Red Dead Online, my horses were named like fresh bread and stuff. and I don't know if I'm the right person to ask for pet names. Rhubarb, yeah. A cyber dog. I have no idea. I'm sorry. I was about to say sandworm or worm or something. Maybe I'm not the person to ask. I'm sorry. You know, learn how to strike. Okay, this is passive. At least I don't have to press anything. Combining the voice in the limited form of induced. Okay, wait. I don't. I have 3 skill points though. I should probably make use of it. Stagger? Stagger or go behind them? I don't know. Stop. Connecting okay. Enemy from performing any actions, I'd prefer that. Don't do anything. Let me kill you, please. Okay. Now what? Compel stop. Oh, I can't even. What? What? What is X? Oh, there's tiers to it. I could have just spammed it all in the. I could have just done that to this too. Okay. I need to go. I have places to be. I have things to craft. I'm not sure what was needed. Ooh, scary. What was needed for the gun, but I need one. I know Grim is like way ahead of me. All I have is my knife, but at least if I die, this area is like really easy to get to. Oh, this guy built up a base. Let's go harass our neighbor. I think I still know how to fight. You just spam. Give me your stuff. Thank you. Oh, I don't have a gun. Oh no. Hopefully she had something that I can use to... How do you craft? How do you craft? How do you craft? How do you craft? Why? Research. Crafting. Was it B? Okay, that's the darts. What? What? Improvised blood extractor. Scavenged metal. I have that. I have that. I have a lot of it. Yeah. I know what I'm doing. I saved my stuff before I fed myself to the worm. I don't... How did this game work again? I don't know. Fix the UI thing? What UI thing? What happened with the UI thing? What don't I know? Okay. Okay, I can build this now, which I need for water. So let's do that. I need this plant fiber. I know where to get that. But first... Wait, no, I can't even extract her blood because I don't have the backpack. Oh my goodness. Why am I so anxious right now? Everything's giving me anxiety. The weird flickering on the edges of the screen. Oh, Ven helped me update my driver, so maybe that's why. I need little battery packs to power up my base. Is that my base? I was about to say, oh, it's so ugly. Whoever's base that is. Why does it look like that? It's my base. I went in a circle and forgot that was my own base. And my neighbor must be so mad. Look at it. Look at their base. It like... And then my base? It's even missing that part. Okay. Okay. I know Grim made a base with his friends, but they're way ahead of me. So I need to catch up. That's gonna be the objective for today, is to get as far as I can into the story. Cross the desert. I know that's a thing. Yeah, that's it. I don't remember much else. I need to remember how to play, first and foremost. All I remember doing is running around, picking stuff up, and... Wow. Crafting things and following the quest line. Anything beyond that is, oh no, I'm thirsty. I can drink the flowers. I can slurp flowers. Nice. Can't stay, gotta rest for a bit after. Oh my goodness, I didn't know you had surgery. Rest well. I hope you recover quickly. Okay, okay. B is to craft? Yes, okay. I can craft this. I don't need construction tool because I'm not building anything. I would like a respawn beacon. Aha, there we go. A pistola. And then a bunch of darts. Not the maximum amount. Many is it? Many does it give? I don't know. We'll see. A power pack. Wait, no. That's what I made 1,000,000 of last time. Aha! I need this cutter, eh? Look at me remembering things. I know what I'm doing. Haha. Okay, I want my gun in... Not making the same mistake twice. Exactly. I'm a professional. Not in this channel. It's for when I forget again. Probe launcher. I don't know if I need that, but I made like 4 probes. We're gonna use it again just to see if it makes any difference. I'm already heavy. Why? My binoculars can go at the last. Pistol is good at 3. Maybe 2. So knife 1. Pistol 2. Heal kit 3. Blood 4? Do I need this small blood pack in my... Yuck. I don't need the respawn beacon in here. Okay, where is this? Hey. Power up my house. I have it for 15 hours, which should last me a while. I think I'm gonna I'm gonna play a bit off stream as well, because I need to catch up. I also want to learn how to fight better. I know Grim said that he's using the gun, which I suck at. So maybe... Okay, I would like more. I'm gonna need a lot of ammo if I'm gonna learn how to shoot properly. How's my blood purifier? Ooh, we are at 100% capacity. Nice. Okay. How do I fill up? Oh, and then my suit is almost full too. Okay. Let's drink. Full hydration. Everybody hydrate. I'm really low on my tea too. Okay, ready. Did this person respawn? I'm gonna fight things with my gun until I figure out how to use it. But what if I die?
There's someone here. Eyes on hostile.
I did it! I did it! My poor neighbor. This thing respawns so fast. What's that? Is that a worm? Okay. From what I remember, it took... Why is the music like that? It took a really long time for the worm to eat you. And since we have since we have created oh my gosh, I thought I was full. I drank so much. Since we have oh my goodness, my brain, please work. What was I saying? Since we crafted everything except for our armor, wait, let me deposit my stuff. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't mind dying now. Because remaking everything is pretty easy. I just want to get rid of this thing so I'm not as heavy. Where is it? This. Keep that, just in case. So we need to go. I want to complete stuff. Gray means that they're legend. Huh. I think if it's colored in, it means that I haven't been there yet. But if it's grayed out, then I have. Or... is this... what? Is that the entire tank? Yeah, pretty much. Wait, okay, so orange is what I've already been to? And gray is what I haven't been to yet? Okay. I'm remembering how to play. Teehee. Is it this thing? No. What is it? Somebody built a base right here. I respect it. This is a good spot to farm a lot of enemies. The sun is rising. Whoop. Hello. I've come to kill you. Oh my god. Excuse me. Hi, Tage. Hello. Yeah! Wait, I'm reloading. Whoa, okay, it's not so scary. Or is my gun right in his bum? Oops, 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 oops. I really need to get faster at that. Okay, wait. Holding E. How are you? I'm doing good. How are you? Oh god.
Working buggy. Don't know how much longer it'll hold together, but while it does, we can use it to pick up some of the bigger pieces out in the sands. We'll take it all back to Solgren's cave and stash anything we think we can use there.
Solgren's
We can
cave.
cut it up at our leisure, away from the sun and the worms.
His voice is so gravelly. Where's the cave? Did it show up in my map now?
Sector weather alert. A large sandstorm is approaching.
Okay, this is colored in now. So, okay, so if it's gray, it means I haven't been there yet. Busy week last week. Ooh, I hope you can relax this week. Today's your day off? Nice. I spent my entire weekend grinding Overwatch. I want to go back to my base if it's gonna be a storm. If there's gonna be a storm, I want to go back. But first. Yeah! I'm doing so good! I'm killing things with my gun! Yay. I was grinding Overwatch with my friend Miswa. And I have no idea what's going on, but we kept losing and then winning one and then losing and then it was horrible. How long does it take for the storm to get here? I really thought you'd be on Rivals. Oh, yeah. I tried Rivals. I didn't like it that much. And then Overwatch came out with Stadium, which was like the... Okay, my bitrate's in the red. I don't know why. I'm scared. And then Twitch is saying it's unstable. I don't know what's going on. Okay. I tried my Marvels. It was a little too jittery for me. I tried to like lower the sensitivity, but every time I hit something or clicked or like moved, it would just be way too much. It wasn't as smooth as I was used to with Overwatch. So I couldn't get into it. And then, yeah, I just find Overwatch a lot funner. I also don't really care for the designs in Marvel Rivals. Like, I am familiar with the characters because it's Marvel, but also there's I just don't like the playstyle. You pose it this. I'm still not sure if moving bases will move everything. When's the storm coming? It doesn't say. Oh. Okay. So I have a quest over here. And a quest over here. And this. Let's start small and just go here. It's okay. We got this. That's really high. I forgot about sunstroke. Are they talking about this little area? I want to stream Overwatch one of these days. I've always been scared to because my aim sucks and I don't want to be made fun of. Is it this? It's this. But then... Who's that? Me. It's me. Why is it always... Okay, why is it always there? It's not intentional, I swear. Okay, maybe it's not this. Where is it? Oh, intel. Wonder what that means. It's my respawn beacon right there. What if I put a respawn beacon on my base? Because then at least I'll respawn at my base. Is it here? Anybody here? Hello? Do you play Marvel Rivals stage? I think I won like my first game and then I don't know what happened with the rest of it. Okay, there's 2 people here. I can do this.
I need help. I'm coming for you, Scout.
Okay. Why was I having such a hard time with... Okay, that's better. In the thigh. Why was I having such a hard time... Oh! Why was I having such a hard time last time? Whoa! A hidden cave. Hello? Anybody home?
I got hold of a working buggy. Don't know how much longer it'll hold together, but while it does, we can use it to pick up some of the bigger pieces out in the sands.
Wait, I was here.
We'll take it all back to Salton's cave and stash anything we think it can be there.
Okay, it's when I panicked.
Then we
That's
can
why.
cut it up at our leisure, away from the
That's why I was having such a hard time. Because I was panicked. Holy shit, hello, that hurts. Because I was panicking. First time, accident. Second time, sus. 12th time, I listen. Now you're forged in the fiery hells of Overwatch ranked. Okay, but to be fair, it's an achievement, and I like to get those. Okay, we have to cross. I hear footsteps, or maybe I'm just delusional, but there's also stuff up there. There's a lot of things in this game that I am probably walking past. Okay, wait, where am I going? I need to cross there. Maybe I'll go this way. That way and then that way. Cause sunstroke sucks. I really like Stadium. It's really fun. I find that I wanna see. Oh, nobody got eaten? Oh, wait, you can't get me from here. Oh, there's somebody there. I find that if I can play it solo, then that means I really like it, right? Otherwise I'd be playing it with friends to make it less daunting. But with Overwatch I can play it solo, and then Stadium I can also play it solo. I need to cross. I need to go there? Oh, poop. Okay. Go this way. I played Juno. She's cutie patootie. I think she's the newest. No, she's not. There's Freya. Freya came out. But I played Juno. I'm a support main. Oh my gosh, finding... I need a tank main to adopt me. Please. Oh wait, the sun. I can cross it in the daytime, right? With my sprint. Can I hide right here? Ah, okay. Thanks support with randoms. Yeah, it's a bit tedious, especially when you have to like keep track of 4 to 5 other players who don't always want to work together. But I really like it. I'd prefer it over over being DPS and over being... Oh my god, she's so pale. Oh. She's scary pale. Okay, we gotta be brave. We gotta be brave. Just walk. No sandworm, right? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay. Made it to the shade right before we hit sunstroke. Okay. Whoa, lag. Go here first. There. You wear music? No. We're safe here. In between here. We've tested this out. Got eaten twice, maybe 3 times? I don't remember. Over here, buddy. Oh my god, my aim. This is the sort of aim you can expect from an Overwatch stream. Gosh. Oh, hey. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. How do I use this again? How come these guys don't have water? Where is your water? Gimme. The water is inside them and it's red. You're right. My backpack is full though. Okay. Oh, that isn't even... That's not even right. Is it here? I can't tell if that's somebody's base or... No, that's not somebody's base.
Someone's here.
I'm scared.
I see someone.
Do you? I don't see them. Wait, maybe this is what this is for. Oh. Whoa. Boop. Whoa. Okay. Whoa. That's a lot of them. How do I do this by myself? Cause last time... Okay. This is when we be brave, yeah? This is when we put down a respawn beacon and go die. Or just die. Like... I don't... Ah, this is so scary. Oh no, they walked away. Wait, come back. I wish I could do like silent takedowns. Hello? 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 There's no stealth kills in this? I don't know. Oop. Hello? Heck. Okay. If Grim could do it, so could I. Right? Go in here.
Attack! I require assistance!
Ah! Whoa. I don't like that. Oh, I'm reloading! 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 What the heck? Oh my gosh. It gets so slow when I'm in combat. Hello? Ew. Hello? Oh, they have a shield. Yeah, keep shooting me there. Yeah, okay. Yep.
I've got you covered.
Yeah, you do. Can I? Whoa. Okay. Oh, this is awkward. Whoa, what? Where did he go? That was a early access feature, guys. Okay. If they're allowed to cheese, so am I, right? Is that all of them? Did I do it? It's suddenly so not smooth anymore. Maybe I can't handle big fights. I wasted my shout for nothing. Don't I have a cutter thingy? Why does it feel like I don't? Okay, no, it's this. Okay, I don't need that. So it's gonna be 5. Good, okay. Something about intel, and I don't know what that looks like. Like 0 out of 1. So where is it?
Who's that?
Whoa!
I see someone. I've got you.
Ah! That hurts. Stop it. The pain. I'm getting thirsty. I'm drinking my own filtered water. Okay, is it this? Oh, I can take their fuel cell. What do I do with it, though? What is intel? Is it up there? I don't get it. Oh, that hurt my knees. Huh? Up here? Wasn't I already here? Oh, I should...
Yeah, scrap's still plentiful
Is this?
thanks to the war. We might be able to find you some Holtzman generators, but it's tricky. Holtzman fields really rile up the worms. And now we've got to search during the heat of the day because of the damn Sardaukar patrol ships with their bloody searchlights running all night long.
Okay.
Don't know who they're looking for, but they drop show mercenaries to take anyone they see. Glad it's just the mercs and not the Sardaukar themselves. Might stand a chance against company stooges who don't know the desert.
Okay, so that was the intel. Right? No. What? What is the intel? Please don't make me fight more. Oh, is it this? Aha! Yay! What's this? Okay. We're figuring out how this works. I want to go home. Dare we cross the desert? Oh shit. Yes. Because... what is that? That's somebody's base. They don't even have a roof. My base is okay, hanging off a ledge and is very rectangular. Poorly optimized. I'm going the wrong way. Home is this way. Little scavenger base. Now I know what it looks like. Yeah. And I cleared out a whole base on my own. I'm so big and brave. I am emboldened. I'm lost. Yeah, okay. Still going the right way. Growing up so fast. I don't need to chase the shadows because it's nighttime. Radiation level. Ah, shoot. There's radiation to worry about too, apparently. Oh, I scheduled our hangout to go live at 11 and it's already 11:24. So I have a new video up on YouTube. Oh gosh. Oh. Dun, 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 dun. Why does it sound like the shark music? No. I'm out of the desert. You can't get me. Okay, just gotta keep going straight. I'm not afraid of any more people. I can kill things now. Don't be mad at me. No compatible container. What? No, it's this one. Yeah. I don't even need this, but I'm getting it. I wonder what going into the searchlight will do. Ah! Another thing to test out. I think my next... No, I can't say that. One of these days I will stream Overwatch. Teehee. There, I said it. Not my next stream. But one of these streams. Come here. Everyone's in danger now. I know how to kill people. Hee hee hee. Where am I? You just keep going this way so I don't get distracted. Maybe we could just go there now. After I drop these things off. Next stream Overwatch confirmed. No. No thank you. I've... Teehee. Oh, there's my base. See, it kind of looks like they're together, you know? If anything, I'm adding to the the curb appeal. I'm making their base look more appetizing. Appetizing? What's the word? Appealing. Wow. English is hard. Oh, wow. My water is full. I can drink. Yum. Wow. And then this I can use to do that. And then I can... Let's do some... I have a lot of intel, but nothing I can use it on because I need to do quests. I don't want to do quests. Do I have this? Sure. Let's do more damage. Oh, that was the first one. Main story time. I do need to... Okay, let's deposit this. And... I don't know what that is. Oh. I can only... Okay. Ooh. I don't know what this is. I can't put it away. Craft an unfixed. Huh? Is in weapons? What? I can't craft anything with it. Oh, we don't get it, but okay. I can't remove it from my inventory, and I can't... Right. So, I guess it'll just stay there. We're gonna go here first. Because I feel like I'll die here. Do we have a respawn beacon? No. What? We do. We have one. That's fine. Oh, it's already daytime. What should we do first? Yes, there. May as well. But this one's closer. No, it's not. It's farther. Ew, the sun. We gotta run. I'll get water. Or I'll get, fiber. There. Wow, I have to cross that. What's the closest? There is no closest. Across is gonna be... Oh. Across is gonna be the closest. There are sandworms nearby, I think. Oh. Hello.
Reveal yourself.
Oh, shoot.
I see someone's here.
Oh, there's two. Stop shooting me. Oh my god, they're hitting me. Oh, they're coming.
Found you.
You mean found me? Oh, there's another one. Wait. Pause the fight. Am I hitting them? I feel like they're hitting my head and I'm hitting around them like a stencil. I already need bandages. This is so slow too. did the blood come from there? Wait. Wasn't there 3? Didn't I kill 1? Didn't I kill 3? Was there only 2? Oh, this game is cheating me. It respawned immediately. Or maybe I didn't kill him. Who knows? Okay. So, we cleared that. We're gonna cross the desert here. Do this. Scared. Surely there will be fibers there so I can craft more bandages, right? Right? There's probably fiber here. Okay. There was 3? Yeah, I killed 2. Okay, I killed 2, and then one of them started shooting me again. But there's only 2 bodies. It said it wasn't difficult enough. 1 rolled down. Wow. This game is against me, it seems. We're gonna go. After. Okay, okay. Now we're gonna go. So big and brave. So big and brave. So very, very, very brave. Oh, okay. We have nothing to fear. We're okay. The sun. Oh no. Wait. We might have something to fear. Okay, it's hot. It's hot, but I will still loot. I sure hope there aren't any enemies here. Oh, what am I doing? Ah! Okay, now I have even less. I'm in the shade. What do you mean? Any fibers? Somebody's base is like right here. I wanna watch. I wanna watch. I wanna watch. Oh, you can't even see it from here. Ah! Stop, 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 stop. There's no fibers here. Okay. I guess it's just what I have on me. Maybe I should make more ammo. Hold on. Hold on. Woo! Stop pressing that button! Calm down. Holy heck. Why do I keep doing that? The music is about to kick in too. It is, I hear it. Can I snipe from here? Oh, that guy probably has a shield, huh? Who's there? Just the wind. He doesn't even feel it! Okay. That guy I'll have to get up close and personal for. But you... Too far. No! Stop pressing the button! I keep thinking it's crouch. Whoa. Okay. Come here. Oh, you don't have a shield. What the hell? Huh. Okay. So far, so good. Is this a chest? No. It's pretty accurate if you sit still. Oh, maybe that's why they're crouching when they're shooting at me. I could learn from my enemies. Do I have to go in? Oh, I have to go in. Wait, let's put a respawn beacon right here. Right here. Yep. Checkpoint. Why is there a checkpoint there? How do I remove my marker? What? Okay. Respawn beacon checkpoint. Not sure why there's a checkpoint. I have 12 bandages.
Huh?
The lag. Oh. Oh. Crouching is better. Where are they? Hello? Hello? Oh god! Okay, hello. Ah! I don't know the basics of fighting anymore. I don't remember how to dodge. How'd you get behind me? I was looking behind me too. Why do you have all this stuff on you? Loot, 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 loot. Wait. Do I have to go up?
Someone here.
What's that?
They can like hear me. Oh. Okay. Where are you? There's more of them. Who did I kill? Oh. I hate that this is like at the very bottom. Woo! Hello? Why is there a delay? They're like shooting me from the ceiling, and that's not fair.
Let's get the faster.
Quick craft. Yeah. Would be nice, wouldn't it? What? No. Give me. Whoa. I'm done. I got it, but I didn't kill everybody yet. Let's prove ourselves. There's still somebody talking.
I've got you covered.
Who are you covering? Hello? Ooh, okay. I remember how to do this. Are you here? Aha. Come here. Where the heck? Yay! Is that it? Okay, space is to take it faster. I've been holding E this whole time. Gather plasteel micro... What? What? What is this? Whoa. Okay. Okay, so there's stuff I have to loot. Oh, I looted everything. Where? What? What? Where am I? Whoa, okay. So I did it. Right? I did it. Mine copper ore, harvest plant fiber. I have those at home, and that's exactly where I'm going. That's the wrong way. South. We did it! And we didn't even need to use up all of our bandages. I'm so pro. I'm fearless. Rahaha. With plenty of water to spare. I wonder what going into the searchlight means. Oh, my curiosity is gonna get me killed again. We're gonna go there. Wait, what? Yes, we're gonna go there. Right there. Which is where those 3 guys nearly killed me. Worm time. The more you have to lose, the more exciting it gets, right? Yeah. I wonder if this loot respawns. Oh. No worm, 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 no worm. Don't eat me. I just got all this good stuff. So big and brave. Look at us. My hands are sweaty. Oh, we're full. Drink. Take. 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 Now we need that and no, not that. What? Oh, it still wants us to mine the stuff even though... Ooh, spice infused copper dust? Truly unique items often rely on spice infused metal to enhance their qualities. Such metals are jealously hoarded by the most powerful groups, locked away in their most secure containers. That must be from... Yeah. From the ship. Cornered in a cave by Sardaukar forces, Caliph managed to stay alive for weeks without a water source, only emerging to draw blood from his enemies. When he was finally killed, the Sardaukar discovered this unique kinjal, modified to include an exsanguination apparatus. Whoa! A schematic. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I didn't even look at what we had. Ooh. So, I can replenish my water by slicing people. Oh, this is so efficient. What does that mean? So, now, can I craft it now? Whoa. Whoa. It needs... Okay. So then I need to get spice, which is usually in the PvP zones. Okay. Too spicy copper for the night. I would have died right there and lost everything. No! I am just lucky that I have my... Not lucky. I chose this class because I knew I would be running away from the sandworms. But there's gonna be vehicles later. Okay, I need 5. I'd rather get the knife. I hope it's not gonna make me craft this twice. You know? You know? I feel like it's gonna make me craft this twice. Twice. Give me. Give to me. Okay. Replace my knife. Let's see what it looks like. Whoa. It looks the same. Is it the same? Whoa, it's not the same. Okay. Lovely. This can go here for when I die and need stuff again. All my important stuff. Fuel cell. Okay, I need I need fibers and ore. Luckily, there's a lot right here. Whoops. Good efficiency. Sharper and pointier. Good. All the better to stab people with. It's a shame that I started using my gun now. Wow, I leveled up. So I invited Grim to play this, and then I I had to grind Overwatch, and now he's like ahead of me by a lot. So I'm trying to catch up, and I'm probably gonna play a little bit off stream so I don't restrict myself to playing this for 3 hours a day. It's honestly, it's Overwatch that I need to play only 3 hours a day. Oh my gosh, but the next season comes out Tuesday. Maybe I should stream Overwatch. Did I say next Tuesday? I meant this Tuesday. Got it. New schematics available. 3. Time to go back and craft them. Research scavenger rags, and kinjal. Fabricate a full set of scavenger rags. Okay, whatever Karpov 38 is. We still need to play the medieval marketing game. Yes. And Peak. I think Miso wanted to beat Peak. Research first, which was K? No. Research this. 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 Yeah, and then fabricate. Oh, but my blade is better, isn't it? Ooh, a new gun. Okay. Craft that. Craft that. Craft that. Craft that. Craft that. I can't craft anymore. I need this. Oh, it was taking from my... Uh-oh. Uh-oh, uh-oh. Uh-oh, uh-oh. What does that mean? What does that mean? Did I mess up? Compare. Left control. What? It already compares. Oh, no it doesn't. Never mind. Wait. What? What? Why did it make me make that? It's worse than what I have. Stop! No! Open your map. Hi, Grim. Hello. Don't judge me, I'm baby. I just did this part. Heck. Don't OMG me, okay? Listen. I haven't played in a while. Why is this here? What? Why is this here? Damage rate 10. 7. Why did it make me make these? I'm so confused. What? Oh, no. Okay, I have to equip. What? But then I won't be able to use my water. We'll get you to the cool base. The assault heli? Let me get there on my own first. Oh my goodness. Will this remove my water? Why does it want me to wear this? Why does it want me to wear this? It removed my water! Nah, I'll just... I'm so confused. I want my still suit back. I'll just craft it like it wants me to, but I don't have enough. What did I need? The chest part? What? This part. I need... Found in Great House ruins, such as shipwrecks. I need more!
Sector weather alert. A large sandstorm is approaching.
Go to social? What? What? Wait, it's down here. What? Hi, Sin, how are you? Oh my god. Okay. I made this already. I can't... But what does this mean? What does this mean? This is better. What? Why did it make me waste so much stuff? Can I scrap stuff? Boo! Okay, I'll just leave it here. In case I die. Yeah. In case I die. That way I'll have something to use. Okay, hold on. I don't know if I'm gonna like how this fires. We'll test it out on our neighbor. Oh. Oh. Is this my gun? Hello? I know you're in here. They're not. Oh, they are. Oop. Oh. Okay. It seems powerful. She just dropped. Oh, it resetted my water too. I lost all the water my still suit had, I think. How are you, Sin? Hi. It's bigger. Oh my god, her face. Maybe I should. maybe I should. Unhide. How did I do that? How did I? What is this? How did I hide my... What the heck is this? When did I get all this? I don't remember how I hid my face. But I probably should. Okay, I need more parts. Which means I should probably... I don't want to go back. We're gonna go here. Shortest route. Here? Oh, I should probably make more bandages because I am very bad at that. Is there a shortcut? Hydrate IRL? Ooh, I should get more tea. Blah. I hope you can stay cool, Zin. I'm gonna get tea. More tea. BRB. Everybody hydrate. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm back. I let it steep for too long and now it's really bitter and strong. Hello, Chimono. Is it kimono? I'm sorry. I apologize. If I said it wrong, please let me know. Thank you for the follow, by the way. I saw you followed me on Twitter. I don't remember. Okay. I was going to make... Did I already make bandages? No. Chem? As chemistry. Okay. Chem. I apologize. That was horrible then. I'm sorry. Alright. We're gonna be brave. Brave the sandworms. No one knows how to... I'm sorry, I'm just used to it. I will remember. What is happening over there? I want to see. I want to see. Wait. Wait. Why is this so... Why is this rock formation so large? It's over. No. What if... Okay. Oh. Oh no. Can I hide here? No. Good attempt. We're not that small just yet. Oh no. I can hide right here. We're this small though. Shall we get revenge for these guys that nearly killed me that one time?
Reveal.
Whoa, buddy, you're so fast. Whoa, buddy, you're so fast. Third guy? No? No third guy this time? Okay. This gun guns, right? I need to test the other thing too. Revenge is fun, absolutely. I need to test this knife too. Wow. Multitasking. I get to drink blood and kill people at the same time. Usually I have to wait till they're dead. Now I don't have to. Maybe I won't need the still suit then, I guess. Oh no, but this is still better. Okay. I've crossed the desert in the sun before. I can do it again. Be brave. Be brave. Be brave. Did I go there? Oh boy. This is when I get eaten, isn't it? This is when I get eaten. Calling all sandworms. One delicious Ellie. Right here. Right here. No? They must be busy. Oh, that lag. That must mean that it's coming. No? No? We're safe? We're good? Oh. Okay. Okay. We're going. Okay. I want to use my knife. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Can I test this on you? Stored. Oh, it stores the blood. I don't get to immediately drink it. I have to. Ugh. Oh, but can I still. Can I extra drain you? I can extra drain them. Whoa, okay. Interesting. Even more blood. This is so resourceful. Ethically harvested blood. Not a drop wasted. That's ethical, right? That's what that means. Don't you smile with my own face at me? Stabbing is quieter. It indeed is. Where am I going? Oh, this counts as the desert. Is that a person? Am I delusional? It was a NPC? What? Yeah, I can aim. Hey, Sin, if you're still there, do you want to play Apex sometimes? I have in my head now, Jaku, that face being the last thing you see. Before it all fades to black. Oh my god, that slow blink. The frog blink. I love it. I saw Watson's mythic skin and but I haven't played in a while. I don't know if I can balance Overwatch, Apex, and oh my gosh, I started playing Fortnite. for one specific skin. I told myself I wouldn't touch Fortnite because every time I play it, I buy something. And then the skin comes out and I reinstall the game. And okay, technically I haven't spent any money because I had currency in the game. So I spent that. But tomorrow's update? I have no idea. I only know that Overwatch the next season for Overwatch is coming out tomorrow, and is it tomorrow? Yes. It's coming out tomorrow, and that is what I'll be on because Diva's Mythic comes out too. And I already have enough currency. Get it. Hee hee. Hello? Hello? Whoa! Wait a minute! What was that? I can't tell if something is like ticking or what. Don't reload. Oh, that was who I needed to kill. Loot? No. Ah! What the hell? Huh? Hey. He could have warned me. What's his name? I already forgot his name. The guy that was helping me. Okay, we finished that. Now we need to go back. Whoa, what? No. What? Huh? Caliph's Monument. What the heck is happening? I'm so confused. I'd have to there's mines? Gosh, this is horrible for my awareness 0. Were there mines? Haven't touched that since February, and before that since May. I haven't touched it, I think, yeah, since February as well. Maybe. I don't know. I tried to play it with a few friends, but they didn't know how to play, so I had to teach them. And that went as well as you'd think, with how passive and afraid of conflict I am. I'd have to write only if you want to. Because again, I'm not sure if I have it in me to grind for all of that, like Overwatch and Apex at the same time. Still a Rampart main? No, I'm a Watson Conduit main. I'm a Conduit main, but Watson still has my heart. I got the what is it called? The heirloom shards twice. How do I get there? Do I have to go up? So I opened loot thingy. No, what is it? Loot box? And then I got it, right? So then I bought Watson's, and then like the next month, I think, I got it again. And I was like, whoa. And I had OBS running, so I was able to like clip my reaction to getting it. I think I was just like, what the hell? What did I just get? Regular use of suspensor belts. I want that. More. But I need the schematics for it. Let's get this intel too. What? Getting down is always so scary. Like, how did I get up here? Ah! No. Oh, it's no issue for you to reinstall. Just DM me when I have it installed. You just have to let me know when you're available. Okay. This way. Ooh. Ooh, okay, this looks like a big camp. There's like people up there. Why am I whispering? Because it's scary. Don't move! I take less damage when I'm not moving because their spread is so wide. Whispering for the extra immersion. That's how you know I'm immersed, and I want you guys to be immersed with me. I'm scared of mines now, though. Whoa. Nobody's here. What do you mean? I like this gun. Wow, there's more. Okay. Wait. Look at me! I did that. Okay, need to... Oh, there's more people. Don't shoot me, please. Don't shoot me. Not until I know where you are. Hello? Oh my god. Was that it? Is that all of them? There's like ticking sounds and it's freaking me out. I sure hope I don't lose all this loot. I need more of that other loot, but I can only get it in shipwrecks. Also, my frames being horrible is giving me motion sickness. I hate that looting chests is with E. You know, with space, and then looting things off the ground is E. It's making me mess up. Thanks for the lurk, Cam. Enjoy. Oh, I need to update that too. So many things I'm working on. Ah! And also my bitrate still says it's in the red. I don't know. Don't know how to fix. Wow. Now that I'm a certified murderer, I feel extra brave. Let me drink some water. Gotta go here. This way. Their bodies disappeared. That was fast. Not even done looting and they're already gone. Time to move is now, when the sun is low. The sun is gone, actually. I like what they did in the movies. When it was nighttime, it still looked daytime because it's just that bad in the desert. Is it here? Is this where I need to go? No, but it is a moisture sealed cave. It's so accurate too. Okay. I need to know what the mines look like. But like I hear like ticking and I don't know if it's mines or it's just the game fighting sequence music. Scary. Okay. We continue. Proceed. The mines did make it did? Okay, so I'm not crazy. I just need to know what it sounds like now. Is it that ticking? Oh my gosh, I just saw that. How do I whisper in chat? Love it. Oh no. You're not coming for me. No. No. Stop with the shark music. Stop. I'm hiding, I'm hiding, I'm hiding. I hate it. I hate it. Whoa. They already know I'm here. Haha. Just kidding. Whoa. Don't jump. Don't jump, don't jump, don't jump, don't jump, don't jump, don't jump, don't jump. Oh, that was him. Any mines? Is that a mine? Oh, it's so hard to see. Crazy. That's a mine. Haha. Okay, and then that's what it sounds like. Okay. I almost didn't see that second one. I heard the second one. Does the speed thingy cost anything or is it just cooldown? It's a cooldown and it costs my stamina, which depletes my water. Okay, that's not what it sounds like. That. I wonder if there's a way to disarm it. Or if I have to be like that one guy. Not one guy, that one class. Is that one too? No. This guy uses mines, and I don't appreciate it. I wonder when loot boxes reset, because I want to go back to the... What's it called? The shipwreck?
Huh?
My aim is better now. It helps that this thing is so accurate. I'm having fun. I'm having fun now that I'm not scared. Why does this thing keep moving? Do I have to cross this desert? Shoot. Kill Cardanus. Right. Alright, let's go. Is there a way down from here? Rolling through these fights now. I'm so brave now. Oops, I did something. What did I do? F. I drank my reserve water. Backpack full. Shoot. Oh, I'm heavy. Let's craft. I'm full. Very, very full. At least I'm not carrying anything crazy. What do I have? What do I have that's so heavy? This? Can I drop this? I'm gonna need water soon. I guess I could just drink unfiltered blood. I've crossed the desert before. I'll be okay. It's just scary sounds. I'll be okay. Blood do be yummy. It do. Huh. Worm. Worm lag. Like, I don't know how random it is either. But the last 2 times we checked, it took a while. Okay, okay. We can sprint from here. Pretty sure. Hee Safe. Okay. I have 60 health kits. Oh, yeah, I do have 60. I probably shouldn't have dropped the whatever it was that I needed to make this. Oh no, I'm good. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. How many people do I need to kill? My hands are sweaty. Oh, hydrate. Hydration check, everybody. Ugh, my tea is so bitter. I let it steep for too long. I went from not having any fiber to having too much. This better be the last one. I can't handle any more mines. It's just a scavenger camp. I leveled up! Bit of herby water. Water. Is it up here? have this really yummy flavor called vanilla rose chai. It's super good. Then bought me an 8-ounce pack. Super yummy. This must be it. Whoever's in here, prepare to die. You see me. Whoa, I missed all that. Okay, it wasn't them.
Reveal yourself.
Why did it sound like it was behind me?
Who goes there?
Who goes there? Ah! Okay, well, now I have to go back to Griffin's Reach.
What's that?
Excuse me? I heard a voice just now. But I don't see...
Let's get the bastard.
Come get me. Must have been... Oh, they're right there. Ah! That hurt. Little hop when I'm looting. little hip hops. Hippity hops. I'm just super in character. Okay, now we can go back home.
Sector weather alert.
Oh.
A large sandstorm is approaching.
Arnor. That's not good. Is that a person? Okay. Gray means I haven't done it yet. Right, okay. If it's colored in, it means I have. That means I have done all those. Except for this. Uh-huh. I'm not scared anymore. I can fight back now. Yeah!
Sector weather alert. A large sandstorm is
2
approaching.
minutes. Shoot. And I'm outside. Surely I can make it home in 2 minutes, right? I can make it home in 2 minutes. I don't even have any water. You know what? We're gonna stay right here. We're gonna go in there, in that cave, so we can hydrate. That looks like a cool cave too. We're gonna drink the flowers, and then we're gonna drink the blood. The sandstorm won't come in here, right?
Sector weather alert. A large sandstorm is approaching.
Gosh. Was I here? Is this where I just was? Am? Yes. Okay. Now we drink blood. And it has lowered my HP. Are these bodies still here? No, they're gone. This is where I just listen. I don't know how to English.
Sector weather alert. A large sandstorm is approaching.
Okay. I should be safe, right? I'm curious. Let's go out there. Let's see what this means. Oh. There goes my chat. Hello? Hello? Oh, it still says I'm sheltered. What does this mean? Oh, wow. Oh, no. Oh, I can't run. I'm sheltered, I'm sheltered, I'm sheltered, I swear. It hurts. Okay. Well, now we know. Love crazy weathers like this in games. I love testing things out for science. Now we know. Oh, and then we can see it on the map. Oh. Goodbye, storm. Lovely. Okay, it's passed. And then I think that means it refreshes things. So does that just mean the stuff on the ground? Because that refreshed pretty frequently. Does it mean loot boxes? No. What does that mean? Across there. We're going west. No sandworm, please. Okay. It was the storm, not me. Dun, 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 dun. Oh gosh, I'm scared. I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. Now we just have to do that twice. I'm carrying a lot of stuff right now. Do I know what I have? No. Do I want to lose it? No. There's a cave here. Who's hiding here? Show yourself. Where are you? Where are you? Hello? Sure would be a
Huh?
Oh. Hee. Since I'm on my way home, I can just loot everything. Right. What's this? What does this mean? Nothing. Ooh. Random, glitches in the frames, but that just might be my computer. Where am I? Oh, a camp. Identify yourself. Is this a whole camp? I'm not scared anymore. Maybe just of the sun, but I'm feeling pretty brave with anything else. Any shipwrecks so you can get that last piece? I think I have to go back to that same shipwreck, which is why I'm wondering if the thing has resetted. Do you think? I'm full. Okay, I can't carry anymore. I wonder if like stuff like this has something that I could salvage, like that, or if it's just salvaged metal. I think all the good stuff is in the big places with all the enemies, as it usually is. Oh, why is this open desert? It's too small for a worm. Guess not. We have 2 moons. Here's my base. Yay! I wanna go in the searchlight. I just wanna see what's there. Shall we for science? Maybe next time. I don't want to put in all of this, because who knows when I'll play again, considering the next season comes out tomorrow. I did this. I don't have any blood to put in here, but that's okay because it's full. What am I doing here? What am I doing here? What? Okay. Since I'm going to the market, maybe I can bring all my money and lose all my money. Small vehicle fuel cell. Does this have any weight? Money has no weight. Good, we're taking it all. I don't know what that is, so I don't want to lose it. I want to craft a respawn beacon because I last put it Hello? I last put it at the shipwreck thing. Oh, then maybe I should go there again. You know? Oh no. To get it from here? I do. Maybe I should go through the shipwreck again, because my thing is there. My respawn beacon's already there. So I may as well. I'm not carrying anything important. Yeah, let's go. Let's go for it. Maybe the loot will be back. Ellie's getting brave. Maybe a little too brave. So if I die not to a sandworm, does my stuff stay at the map? Lisa, hello. Hi, how are you? Okay. Da, 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 da. At least I don't have to worry about sunstroke. If I already have the bracelet from last time, I feel like I'm gonna get eaten by a worm right about now. Swamped at work, but at least time is flying. Oh, I hope it eases soon. So you have time to talk to the boys. I managed to walk through that without using my sprint. If I had the bracelet from last time, does that mean I can just go through it? Through the back door? Or do I have to start from the beginning? I can remember where the back door was. Hello? I have come for loot. No. I can't. Open the door, please. Wasn't there somebody here? Yoink! I'm technically in the back. The only thing I don't like is that when I shoot one of them, all of them suddenly know where I am.
Someone's here. Found them. Here. I see someone.
I must not be that sneaky. I must be horrible at sneaking. It's always... Don't do that. Oh, scary. I don't see you, but I know you're there. Ah! Wait, I wasn't paying attention. I need more blood, so apologies. I hear them. I can kind of skip. There we go. Did I get all the... I think I did. Okay. How many did we get? 4. That should be enough, right? Go home. Build the thing so I can finish that quest too. Because I'm not sure if finishing this quest will put me back at the Griffin's Reach place. Ha ha ha. Now you have a real gun. I do. I'm not scared of them anymore. I'm big and brave. I have a bigger gun. I go this way. Wait. I can just go across. I'm not scared, no worms. Enemies sure can sneak though. Yeah, that's just me and my poor awareness, but who knows? Maybe there is a way to sneak and I just am bad at it. I was crouched, wasn't I? Worms sleep during the night? For sure. For sure. Look at that. Oh. It like went away for a second. Like things keep popping up my screen and I'm scared. Dun, 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 dun. It sounds so much like the Jaws. Is it Jaws that it's from? The shark movie. No worms. No worms. Trust. And then I turn around and its maw is just open. That'd be Jaws. I got it right. I've never watched it. But I know it. It's such a menacing... Ooh. I want to be found by the searchlight. We can test that too. Okay. I just needed to fabricate the chest part. Yes. Chest. This part. Man. Okay. What? Please tell me I did it right.
I've crossed the Vermilius Gap, Off-Worlder, and I still haven't shaken my unwanted followers.
Zentara, that's
I must
his
delay
name.
our reunion until... Well, I fear drastic measures might be required. But fear not, Off-Worlder. You've come this far alone. I'm impressed.
Yay!
You're a long way from that mewling mauler I dragged from the wreckage of the Proteus. Listen, you'll need a vehicle to cross the sands to the Paranorth and reach the gap. But vehicles require components that aren't created here on Arrakis. Arrakis has a long history, Off-Worlder, more than you might imagine. Some things, like the Imperial testing stations, contain echoes of the past. But more importantly, they contain stockpiles of components you'll need.
Yeah.
Just be careful. Those old ruins are a beacon for all kinds of scum.
Yeah. Imperial testing stations are scattered across Arrakis. A blue location marker indicates that components needed to create vehicles and other technology can be found in these locations. Got it. Escape. Too much escape. His Imperial Majesty's Desert Botanical Testing Station. Travel to Imperial Testing Station number 2. Gather particle capacitors. Gather advanced cervix. Whoa. Yeah, that. So. This is such a weird... What am I comparing, though? So my hood armor is 11. This one's... Oh, so it is better. It just doesn't give me any water back. Guess I'll just drink it all. Okay. And start putting it on. Yep. Yep. It is better. I just don't know how to read, I guess. Oh no, she's pantsless. Nobody look. Okay. Safe to look. Okay. Then this can go in here for when I die. We have no more backup water. And I'm gonna put this away. Is there a quick sort? I need another chest already. Do I have a crafting gun thingy? I don't. Construction tool. Two. Is that 7? Aha! Okay. I remember how to use this. Pause this. And I'm not gonna use this gun anymore.
Sector weather alert. A large sandstorm is approaching.
A large sandstorm is approaching. Yeah, we're good. Become the raw blood drinker you were always meant to be, right? Let me go fill up my blood bag. Come here, neighbor. Jesus. What was I so scared of before? Huh? I'm so strong now. And my water filter is full. Sheesh. I'm a menace. Oh. I'll leave that alone. F. Okay. We're going to... Where's the testing station? Imperial testing station number 2. Where is that? Maybe I have to discover it. Oh! Ugh! There it is. Alright, we're gonna go here. And then here. Because we're carrying all this money and I want to spend it. I don't even remember what they were selling there. I think schematics. So... that's what I'll spend all my money on. I can cross this again, right? Big and brave. Lose all my money before I can even spend it. Let's go. I really want to put her hood back on. I'm really curious how you pronounce that word. Because I'm pretty sure I pronounced it wrong. The word I said is something else entirely. Not in the sun, right? Oh. Why are you lying, game? I'm not in the sun. This is clearly the shade. Yeah. now I'm in the sun. Oh no. Oh, that's a worm right there. It's really close. I'm scared. We're almost there. We're almost there. It's gonna be okay. Okay. Safe to run. The sun is blistering hot. Here it is. I'm in the shade, I swear. Honestly, with it this hot, I don't think even being in the shade would be enough. I feel like I get into the shade, it's still hot. And like, you need to fully cool off. Carry those sun umbrella thingies. Right, it's the same thing. A little umbrella. I'm surprised they haven't built anything like that. Like, well, if my armor can withstand— ooh!
Who's that?
Don't growl in my ear, it scares me. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. Okay. Cross. I have lost so much water already. Okay, we're gonna have to just go there. Is it because I'm running? The sirens freak me out. Her face is just white. I swear I didn't choose the palest option. Why is she so pale? I'm gonna look that up as soon as I get off. Like, is there a way to change my appearance? Oh, nobody's. I'm full. But I could drink it now. Yes, we'll go here. It's pretty. I'm gonna skip this because that's dangerous and I want to spend my money. So we're going here. We're gonna go straight for the thingy. Ellie is not as brave, especially when carrying all her savings. Unsheltered. I have to go. Okay, we'll go this way. We'll come back for that on the way home. Mm-hmm. I thought Zentara said there was like a bank. Oh, the cats have zoomies. I haven't tried going above these little rock formations yet. I'm really curious what's up there though. Breaker station. Okay, discovered it. It just looks like there's intel there. Where did I go before that I cleared out that one spot? Because this is something different now. Is it here? Oh. Oh, here. Why is this grayed out? This one's colored in. This one's also colored in. But I'm not there. I didn't get the thing yet. After a quick Google, it seems like you can't change. No way. There's always a chance to add it. Yeah, they better. Holy heck. I've never played an MMO where they didn't let you choose. MMO? Is that what this is? Where they didn't let you update your appearance. Is it really MMO if I haven't seen anybody really? Haven't encountered anyone. More like those survival base builders. It's fun. The only part really that concerns me is the PvP areas when there's like spice stuff. That's when you need a guild. No idea if you can do those solo yet. Anybody here? Nobody's here. It's okay, I'm just passing through. Not a threat. Not yet. Palworld was a wonderful hyperfixation for a month. I heard there's updates for it. I saw, like, I think it was on Twitter, a little video. It looked cool. Oh my gosh. Frames? Game? Hello? Hello? That means something bad, right? Like there's enemies spawning in. I feel like I was here before. Is the sun setting? Yes. Okay. I can run freely in the desert now. Just not where the sandworms swim. There's a lot of great content now, but they also made an auto-made dating simulator for the game, and that made me want to stick to it. Wait, what? What? There's... like in the game, or they made another game that's a dating sim? Can you date the, what is it? Not the gym leaders, but like the things in the tower? Is that what you mean? Can you capture them? Oh, same creators made another game. Ah, I see, I see. Wait, another game where you can date the pals. What? Does that count as furry content? Right, the pal. Wait. This is the people that wanted to do explicit stuff with Pokemon, isn't it? It's 100% furry oh, okay. I see. Interesting. Okay. I mean, to each their own, I guess. But there's humans. There's humans in the game that you can catch. But they want you to date pals. Palworld took we will do what Nintendo won't to the next level. Oh wow, okay. Hello, I'm here. Where's the deliver items? Oh. What did it want? This? Wait. Now what? Oh. Okay. Planetology training available. Meet Derek. Oh, okay. I'm going there. I can accept this. Do not open. I have a buyer who is very eager to recover a stolen pharmaceutical agent. They wouldn't say what it was, just that it was safe to transport unless the vials were opened. The case and vials containing the agent were taken to in the vicinity of the old testing station east of Griffin's Reach trade post in Haga Basin South. That's where I'm going. Alright. Why do I have to go all the way here to accept these quests? Boo! Didn't lose the money. Yeah! Did you doubt me? I am capable. Who's...
You keep coming back like this. I'll have to stop calling you stranger. Stranger?
Don't make it weird. Okay. I don't know what this is. Water container created by... I already have this, right? I don't need it. Please tell me there's something here that I can... Oh, he has water. He sells water. Am I thirsty? No.
You keep coming back like this.
Please give him different lines.
Stranger. Stranger.
Please give him different lines. I can buy these. Medical supplies? Blade parts, gun parts. Oh, okay. He doesn't have anything I need. Well, why did I bring it here? Office furniture set. Huh? Is this just to decorate my house with? Is it a one-time purchase thing? I already have this, don't I? Huh? Huh? I don't even remember. I'm pretty sure... Yeah. Did I waste my time?
Back again, like the sour tang of rancid wine.
Wow. That's rude. Okay. Okay.
It's over then. Good. Did they deserve to die? Who knows? But the deed is done regardless.
Okay. What did they do to you?
They took me to a bar. Got me drunk on spice beer and plied me with samuta. When the battle started, I could barely walk.
So they were your drinking partners.
Aye. Killing them changes nothing of who I am. But sour wine and sour vengeance are both to my tastes. Now shut your mouth and let me train you.
What the heck? Okay.
I'd swear you're a fully trained trooper pulling one over on me. Right, I can't figure out the angle on such a scam. Who are you? Nah, I don't want to know.
She looks like a strict auntie. Okay. Skill points. Teehee. Now what? Whoa. Wait. What? I can cross whatever it's called. I can be the other stuff. Yo. Whoa. Wait a minute. I didn't know I could do this. I want to be a mentat. I want to be a mentat. I want to be a mentat. Source of power. This is what Leto was. He was a trooper? So now I can do trooper stuff. Your time spent practicing your aim leads to bonus damage using all ranged weapons. Oh! Anti-gravity field. This when thrown, use a modified secondary phase to negate the effects of gravity in a spherical area. You can use the sphere to lift enemies or prevent fall damage during traversal. You can use a wrist-mounted launcher to fire off a claw attached to a cable of the extreme tensile strength of Shiga wire launches you in the direction of the cable. It can also be used to stagger opponents during combat. Whoa. Abilities. Okay.
Sector weather alert. A large sandstorm is approaching.
Imagine putting points into anything except raw damage. I put my points into screaming. Wait, that's so on brand. Wait. You're able to heal your body more effectively after suffering catastrophic damage, regenerating your health to a higher threshold than normal. Sure, why not? Through careful tuning of your internal enzyme balance and musculature, you can increase your overall health. Huh. Sun tolerance. You're able to slow the effects of direct sun exposure on Arrakis by altering minor chemical reactions occurring in the layers of your own skin, thereby reducing the rate of sunstroke buildup. Right. Poison tolerance. There's poison!
Weather alert. A large
Of course there's
sandstorm
poison. Self-healing. I want this. You are strongly in touch with your own nervous system and immune system and are able to boost any healing that you perform on yourself. I need that! This is just me not knowing how to build anything ever and just reading things and going, oh, that's cool! It's a technique, so it's passive. Unlock upgrade at the Advanced Bene Gesserit Trainer. Who's that? Where's the trainer? What? Is it you? No. How do I find my people? I leveled up like crazy. Are you a person? No. You're a person. No. Maybe all the players have just progressed past me. What do I need here? Deliver micro sandwich fabric. I have that in my base. I don't have that here. Can I do it here? Shoot. Completed. It says there's like one more. Shoot. Am I just so forgetful I forgot that? I have all this money on me. I need to spend it. Hey, stranger.
You keep coming back like this. I'll have to stop calling you stranger.
I just want to spend it. Welding wire. But then why does it let me buy multiple? Because I swear I bought this already. Yeah, why can I buy so many? For expeditions. All I can think of is what makes me win in PvP. You? PvP? Can you drop schematics for friends? Maybe. Should I buy this? I have so much money. What do I do with it? Give me water. Slurp. Thanks. I guess I'm just gonna carry all this money around. It would be so unfortunate if something were to happen to me.
You keep coming back like this.
Let me
I'll
buy
have to
this.
stop calling you stranger. Stranger?
I don't need anything else. Is it an item in my inventory? No. That's something that I unlocked, which is perfect. Okay, I spent 2,000. I want to track my other stuff that I need. These two are in the testing station. EMF generator. We can find that easy. We just need to go to a camp, which there are plenty right there. Whoa, okay. That's the wrong way. That's also the wrong way. Why is this a door? Oh, PvE? Limited warfare, PvE. That sounds like a worm. Just reminding me that it exists. How's my ammo? Pretty good. Let me heal. Would be so unfortunate if something happened. I'm getting hungry. Have y'all eaten today? I haven't. I stream so early now that I don't eat beforehand. I have enough time to make my tea, feed the cats, and make sure nothing goes wrong which my bitrate is in the red, so clearly I didn't do something right. We'll figure it out. Is this a moisture shield cave? Yes. There's two. Where's the other one? Wah! Hello? Anybody home? It's me. Whoa, 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 whoa. Don't move, don't move, don't move. Nobody move. All the easier to kill you with, my dear. They have water! Oh, there's somebody here. He's already dead. What? I could have some ice cream now? Yum! What flavor? Is it that fancy one? Here's the next camp. Deliver. Deliver? Can I deliver it here? I still need the generator. Wait. What? What? 3. I have 3 and 3. I have more than 3. Do we go back? Have to heckin' cross this heckin' desert. Vanilla, but I pour some frozen berries on it. Ooh. I have this jar of strawberry jam, and I recently opened a croissant and put the jam in with Nutella, and it was so good. I'm craving it, but I don't have any croissants left. Any croissant? That sounds so good. It's very sugary. Some days you just need that extra sugar, you know? I made egg salad, egg sandwiches, and I had extra spread. That's what I ate most of the croissants with. Where's the way up? And then also some cucumber sandwiches. Ah! We had a little tea party. Walking around with my knife makes me look so ominous, like I'm about to shank somebody. Deliver! 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 Contact issuer. Nice work. Okay. Is this the same thing? Most off-worlders think the Fremen were just a bunch of savages, but they made quality goods. No one's ever matched their moisture seal tech, and their mechanisms stand up to the harshest conditions. Pity most scavengers have a superstitious fear of salvaging Fremen gear, but since you're braver than most, maybe you can help me with something else. I have a client who needs something recovered from an Imperial testing station. Ooh, good thing I finished this first, because I'm about to go there. He's looking for an old poison snooper. Why? Who knows? But he's paying well. The station is not far from Griffin's Reach. I'm going there. No contracts available. Perfect. All right. Now we go. Okay, I can't just... I want whoever flies. There's somebody who... There's a class that flies and I'm not sure which. It might be the trooper, which is perfect. Because I just got trained by them. Bum, 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 bum. I wonder if you choose trooper first, is that guy gonna be different for you? Like, it'll be somebody random? Outright flying? Not just the wire thing? Yeah. Let me look. I think it is the trooper. Anti-gravity field. Tractor field? Assault seeker. A grenade! Dispenser training, that's probably it. Death from above. While you are suspended in the air, any attacks using weapons have a bonus. Ooh. I don't want to learn this. One throne. Maybe it's... Drop a suspensor device that launches yourself and targets into the air. Useful for navigation and traversal. I want to be swords master too. Ah, this is for fighting. This is what Jaco would be. Oh no. I always seem to travel during the daytime for some reason. Didn't you say you want to fight? I'm over here using what I can to survive. Which is like more HP running away. And you're like, be the one that does damage. I don't want to fight, but if I know I can't avoid PvP, then I can avoid it. Teehee. I just make friends with people who will PvP and have them do it for me. Smile. Just kidding. I will be brave. Didn't I say something about... Didn't I say something about PvPing myself? Being brave and all that? Teehee. Teehee. So, whenever I get into fights, my frames drop. I'm not sure if there's something I can do to avoid that. The frames dropping part, not the fighting part. Because and then something keeps like flashing in front of my screen. I don't know what it is. But I've updated my drivers. Wrong way. This way. It's just a very demanding game, and I should probably lower the quality, but I don't want to. So my only other option is to upgrade my computer. Smile. That's probably not gonna happen for a couple months, though. Listen, it's fine. Haven't blue screened yet. Famous last words? Where are all the enemy? Oh, there they are. I see you. Wait. Camp. I missed. Is that a person? Oh, it's an NPC. Hello.
Watch your step, stranger. Those plans
Shoot
are
first,
hard
ask
to grow
questions
and
later.
harder to replace. No, you don't look like the scrap rats that swarm around the place.
Did you at
And
least
don't
close your
look like
browser?
one of the crazies from the lab. So what brings you here?
I have all 57 tabs open. Oops, we hit the 3-hour mark. Guys. What brings you here? My ornithopter crashed nearby and I'm trying to find a way back to civilization. I'm looking for signs of the Fremen. You first. Who are you? Well, since you didn't immediately kill me, I'm gonna...
The Fremen? Kynes mentioned them to me in a letter. I was looking forward to meeting them,
Who's
but by
Kynes?
the time I got to Arrakis, they had been wiped out.
Wiped out. Tell me about Kynes.
There are actually two Kynes. The elder, Pardo Kynes, was
Pardo.
a legend at the college on Kytane. His work on the ecological tenets of planetary transformation, magnificent. But the younger Kynes, little is known. It is said that Pardo
So
had a
bitter.
child with a Fremen woman, and the result was a new Kynes. The reason I am here.
Why is he talking about them like they're animals? Looking for Pardo Kynes' child.
Yes. Liet Kynes wrote me a letter
Liet.
asking me to come to Arrakis to help with a terraforming project. With such a famous father, how could I refuse?
Nobody
But before
comes
I
to
arrived,
Arrakis
Liet
just...
Kynes was lost in battle.
Oh,
Without the funds or backing to return to Kytane, I am forced to work with the new planetologist.
sounds rough, buddy. What are you doing
I
here?
was given a ground car and an ancient sync chart of the old botanical testing stations. My task is to document their operational status.
How's that working out?
We're standing atop the second station, and I've been stuck here for weeks cultivating plants because I don't dare to continue. That's how it's working out.
Buddy. Is there a botanical testing station nearby?
You're standing on it, or at least above it. His Majesty's Imperial Testing Number 2. Second on my list. As far as I got before I couldn't continue.
Why couldn't you continue?
The place is infested with bandits, who've
Ooh.
in turn been infected with
Oh.
something. They attack all who enter, even those of us on official business.
Tell me about the bandits.
Oh, scavengers. The usual type around here, cutting up wreckage from the
But what
war
are they
to sell.
infected with?
The ones in the lab have gone odd.
Odd how?
I hadn't gone very far into the lab when some of them charged at me, screaming and brandishing knives. They were covered in gore. I ran.
Did they look sick?
There was a glaze to their eyes and a stiffness to their movements, but they looked normal enough. Maybe some form of mass hysteria. I don't know.
I'm just gonna unlock this. I hope there's no limit to how many you can...
I would gladly teach you, but there is something I must do. Perhaps we can help each other out.
What do you need?
You look like something that
contract.
stumbled out of a shipwreck. I don't have any way to pay. Unless you're interested in a planetary ecology lesson?
What do you need me to do? Somewhere in this testing station is a cache of minimic film reels detailing what exactly the old empire was doing in this facility. This cache was hidden when the lab was sealed, so it may be hard to find. The scavengers occupying it don't make matters any easier. Good luck. Sample their blood to figure out the disease. Right?
That's easy.
Mickey
Somewhere in the
17
station
this.
is a manifest containing a full log of the supplies that were sealed within. Bring me the manifest.
Got it.
Be careful. The people in that lab are odd.
Goodbye. Sorry, I shot you first. Okay. The kinds. Alright, so we're above. We need to go below. Do my frames look bad on stream too? Ooh, I'm sorry. Is this the way down? Ah. Yo, don't do that. Where am I? I should have taken... It doesn't get too rough? Okay. I may have made a mistake. This doesn't look like the way down. Help! Old man! Need the gravity thingy. I do. Ah, that's even worse. Okay, we're gonna climb back up. Can I jump? Yeah! Use up that stamina water. Shoot. Yes, I gotta drink blood. And there goes my health. It's okay. Not like we needed it. Okay. I'm pretty sure it was this way. Maybe not. I'm not sure. I'm lost! One of these days, we're gonna have the gravity thing. We won't have to fear gravity anymore. I'm gonna read everything under the Bene Gesserit tree first before I spend any skill points on the other classes. How are we with ammo? Good. I appreciate that they yell right before I see them. Okay. What if I go crazy too? This old man. What if he's sending me in here as part of the experiment, you know? Hello? Hello? Is anybody here? Hello? Gosh, this is a long way down. Okay, there's the blood and gore. Is this open? No. Only creepy music down here. Ha 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 ha. Okay. Okay. I'm scared.
Collins has been acting real strange since finding that corpse with the Telexu satchel. I
Telexu.
don't trust him. Keep an eye out next time you're out on a salvage run. If he starts acting weird, dart him.
Got it. I heard a scream. I'm scared. Okay. They're just building up the atmosphere. Right. They're building up the suspense. And giving me ammo. Giving me a lot of ammo. Hello?
Welcome to Desert Botanical Testing Station number 2. I am the station supervisor, Dr. Rommel Greer. The ultimate mission of these stations is to find or engineer botanical species capable of thriving in the extremely arid conditions of Arrakis. A true challenge, as I'm sure any visitor who has traveled through the barren rocks and sand above will agree. Our first task has been the installation and testing of wind trap units, capable of reclaiming moisture from the atmosphere.
Get darted, nerd.
I report complete success, both with the installation and functioning of these devices. The thriving vegetation you will find within these halls is a testament to the success of this technology.
Ooh, they already know. I don't see you! Oh, there you are. I'm harvesting water. Do you mind? Not water. Blood. Whoa! What's this? Okay. Okay. I didn't even hear what the guy was saying. Shall we restart the tour? Ooh, fresh water. Okay. So this is our garden. Something about the wind. That's all I caught. Whoa. Are you? No, cause like, why would you? Where was the other guy? Yo, 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 yo. Back up. Right in the spleen? I wasn't looking at where I stuck him, but... Ooh. Plenty of water, at least. This is scary. Wait, the lines. No!
Who are you leaving these messages for, eh? It's for the worms, isn't it? Yeah, the worms.
The worms.
Yeah, your belly, it was full of worms, those big red ropey worms. But I let them out, didn't I?
Oh God. It's for the worms, isn't it? That's crazy. Spooky, scary, spooky, scary. Shh. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. I don't see them. I can shoot randomly too. Where the heck? It's so hard to see. I hear you, but I don't see you. Hello? Me thinks they need to update their AI. I don't want to go down yet. Let's see what's beyond. Just a light. Hello? Okay, let's see what's here. Okay, this is suspenseful music. Please stop. Give me something chill. Is that a mine? No, there's no mines here. Right? Why would they put mines in a garden?
Don't sleep. That's when they come for you. Glow and guards. Don't sleep. They're watching. Find a knife or maybe a hammer. Either would be good, but both is better. Just don't sleep. Don't sleep.
Don't sleep.
Don't sleep.
Don't sleep. It's Dune. They might open your third eye. Ah! Ah! Okay, Ellie. It's a good thing you didn't panic just now. It's a good thing you kept your cool. Yup. Ah.
Beneath the hill where the fox runs lightly, a dappled sun shines brightly. Where the fox runs lightly, you can't hide from me, little bird. Where are you? Beneath the hill in the fennel brake. Spy, my love. I cannot wait.
Thanks.
Go away. Go away. There's a little bird. Gotcha.
This is scary. I don't like scary games. Good thing you farmed all that bravery before coming here. Oh God, no! What do you mean? What do you mean I have to be brave again? does have to be scary? Is this where I gotta go? I can't even look at the map because I'm in such. Why are my frames dropping? This is why I will never play a horror game. Because at least in this one I can fight back. Open? Horror games are fun. No, they're not. Do not lie to me. They're fun to watch. It's fun to watch other people suffer through them. But me? Me, Tage! I'm losing my marbles. This was me yesterday. Playing comp. We suffered together. I would prefer watching someone else suffer. That sounds bad, but...
Sector weather alert. A large sandstorm is approaching.
At least I can hide in here. Ah! Ah, sorry! Do not lunge at me. Are you lost? Hello, open. Did they close the door on me? Did he die? Which way? Keep your knife away from me. Nice. Okay, deliver. So I finished that. Let's track something else. Stop screaming. Do I have a flashlight? Decree issued. House Atreides has secured the current... Okay. I'm House Atreides. Whatever that means. I'm not doing anything regarding politics. Not yet, at least. Whoa, that looks wild. People are just hanging from the ceiling. Oh no. I had to stab him twice. It's a good thing I got... That's a lot of bodies. You think the green is toxic? For science. Ah! Okay, I'm poisoned. You ever play The Forest? I have with Sin. I'm pretty sure it's not on Twitch anymore though. It's been a while. I played Sons of the Forest with Jaku and Ven around the time. Wait, how do I unpoison myself? Hello? With Jaku? Wait, no, I didn't play it with Jaku. I played it with Ven. We played The Forest? Jaku? Huh? I don't remember anymore. Wait. We played the first one, yes, and then you watched us play the second one. I would not stream that. It's scary. And oh, I hear shots fired, shots fired. Thank you for giving me the reminder about shielded enemies. I still haven't found the vials. This place is huge, huh? I probably should have recorded our gameplay of that. Was there intel here? Let me look. No.
Welcome to Desert Botanical Testing Station number 2. I am the station supervisor, Dr. Rommel Greer. The ultimate mission of these stations is to find or engineer botanical species
Where's the
capable
vials?
of thriving in the extremely arid conditions of Arrakis.
They said it was hidden. Maybe this way? Hello, files. This would be a pretty cozy base though, if it weren't, you know, messed up like this. Like, I'd live here, yeah. Pretty sure I said that about the little bunkers in the forest too. Okay, so it's not here. I thought it would be here. It's the only other place though. Where could it be? The hanging body is right. Look, I didn't even loot them. Where the heck?
Welcome to Desert Botanical Testing Station number 2. I am the station supervisor, Dr.
Anything in here?
Greer. The ultimate mission of these stations is to find or engineer
Is that a body?
botanical species
No.
capable of thriving in the extremely arid conditions of Arrakis. A true challenge, as I'm sure any visitor who has traveled through the barren...
I'm so lost. Here. Aha! Mysterious vials, got him.
Once the beast has made his selection, return the remaining items to Bijaz at once. Exercise all due caution in the handling of these items, as the bioagents contained within are unstable and may prove extremely hazardous.
Right. Okay, now we can go.
Welcome to Desert Botanical Testing Station number 2. I am the station supervisor, Dr. Rommel Greer.
Would anybody know a good video editing software that isn't CapCut that I... Oh. Sounds like it needs more foundation. Oh, there's people talking. Why? Why is it only popping up now? Is this the way out? DaVinci Resolve. I was gonna do... There was something, but then it made me need to put in my address in order to download it, and I was like, nah. I used to have Sony Vegas. Pirated. Smile. You can lie? What do you mean, lie on the internet? People do that? I can't believe you tell me to lie. Okay, we're gonna go back to this guy first, and then here, and then home. Wait, can I just finish it here? No. Wait, did I even finish that guy's thing? Yeah, I did. Report back. Wah, wah, wah. This VOD will be uploaded to YouTube a few hours after the stream. Thank you, Jaku. I think the hangout is there too. It should be. I'm not sure. I just scheduled it to upload at 11. So if it isn't there, whoops. I want to like cut up the highlights of that, because there's a lot of funny moments that I clipped, but I can't send it because it's too big. And I don't have CapCut anymore to make it smaller. I used to use CapCut, but then I saw that they can use your content, anything that you upload and create using CapCut, they can use in an advertisement. And if you used any like copyrighted music, and they use it in an ad, you'll be the one to get in trouble for it and not them, which is booty. So yeah. I want to play Peak again though. It might be fun to stream too. Hello? I didn't shoot you this time.
Come back. You don't know how rare that is on Arrakis. Have you done as I asked?
I've brought you the manifest. Whoa, neighbor. Oh, they woke up Latte. I'm sorry. Sorry, baby girl.
You have? That's incredible.
He clapped.
I thought those crazies down there would keep me stuck here forever. Oh, wonderful. Say what you will about the old empire, but they knew how to keep a record.
I believe you offered to teach me something about planetary ecology.
Yes, of course. I haven't forgotten. Pay attention. Life, all life, is in the service of life.
Okay. Okay.
Though I must confess, I wasn't expecting such an apt pupil. It was more like you were remembering than learning. Odd.
Nice. Already. Bought it. Remember? Can I adjust? I've then saying something about Expedition 33 being 42% off? Life something life, yep. So if you guys wanted it, now's the time, I guess. Oh, never mind. It's not on Steam. It's from a different site. I already paid full price, I think. Okay, now we go back to here, and then I think I'll call it. I'll build the bike later. I don't want to stream too long like I used to. I feel like I caught up a lot, right? I have a vehicle. I haven't crossed the desert yet. And save it for tomorrow. Because I'm not streaming Overwatch. Unless. I have a feeling Grim is like 40 hours ahead. Yeah, for sure. They've already crossed the desert. And I was like, what desert? What do you mean there's more desert? And their death copter is, right? Grim's like, we'll pick you up in our helicopter. And I'm like, what? What? Excuse me, what? You mean these tiny slivers of sand isn't the desert? What do you mean this isn't the desert? What do you mean there's more desert? I'll get there. I will. Trust. Tomorrow, for sure. I'll build the vehicle, the sand bike. And I'll get there. Watch, I'll grind this, just as I grinded drives for Overwatch. And I'll get there. Ugh. So tedious. No, thank you. Sandburns. Look at me, I didn't die. I didn't lose my money. I'm getting braver and braver, aren't I? I want to be up there. I just don't know whose ship that is. Is it Arcanon's? I'm gonna do a little bit more reading up on the what is it called? The politics. Hello, Ayan. 7 out of 10, too much desert, right? Too much sand. Oh. I want to be in the sky. Redeemed hydrate? Oh no. With my overbrewed tea. It's so bitter. Okay, let's turn all this in. So you got the snooper. I'm sure it wasn't easy. Those testing stations can be absolute treasure troves, but they are usually full of people who don't like to share. Never met a reasonable person in a testing station. Listen, I have another offer if you're looking to do a little trading. I have Whoops. I need a few components to restore a sand bike. Ah, they messed up. They didn't put the other eye. Who coded this? In decent condition, not falling apart. I can pay for them, but I have some other rarer bike parts that I'm willing to exchange in return. Literally unplayable. I'm gonna be lurking. Okay, happy lurking. I'm just about to end though. But the VOD will be up in a few hours on my YouTube. Smile. I can't. What? So that's supposed to be italicized. We'll just use our imagination. Okay. Deliver this. Ooh, I hope I don't need this. I need 2 of them. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, you found it. The buyer will be pleased. No need to ask if you opened any of the vials. The buyer told me you wouldn't be capable of operating a contract board if you had. This stuff, whatever it is, sounds damn dangerous. I don't understand how anyone could lose track of something like that. Well, no harm done in the end, right? Thanks. Why? What? So I need more. I didn't get enough. Ah. Can I buy it from you?
You keep coming back like this. I'll have to stop calling you stranger. Stranger?
Stop being weird. No! It's not here. I already also don't remember. I'm level 20. Ooh. Drop a suspensor device that launches yourself. Would that count for going down, though? I have so many skill points. I just don't know what to get. I really need to find the Bene Gesserit trainer. I just don't know how to find them. Do I have to go back? Do I have to go back? Did I not loot enough? Okay. You want to go up or down? I want to go down. I seem to be able to find my way up just fine. It's finding my way down that sucks. Okay. Well, that's it for today. Whoa, she looks spooky. Why are her scleras just gone? I look like a demon. Okay. I will play a little bit off stream so I can do more catching up. It's just the infection. Oh no. I'm infected. Ooh. Think it'll be anywhere else though? Whoa. Frames. I want to use my survey beacon. Do I even have it on me? I do. And I have 4 probes. Let's launch it right here. That's probably the desert that I need to cross, right? Because there's no way I'm walking across that. 7. Oh, okay. It's already been performed. Well, in that case, why do I even carry it on me? Okay. I'm gonna get off here. Whoa. What? Where am I?
Please don't disturb me. I'm doing important field research.
Are you not the duly appointed representative for House Argosaz?
Yes, I suppose I am. I thought I might be able to avoid envoy duty out here in the Badlands, but somebody always wants something. What do you want?
Tell me about yourself.
Doesn't matter. I'm the duly appointed representative of House Argosaz. Let's forget the pleasantries and discuss business, if there is any.
Matters to me. Knowing the name of the person I'm negotiating with is customary and proper.
Is that what this is then? A negotiation? How optimistic of you.
She looks so snooty. This is ridiculous. There are 100 other houses envoys. House envoys.
You're right. I'm being difficult.
You are.
I apologize. It's just that I'm faced with so much deceit and insincerity in this blasted world. I descend into brooding without knowing it. Please, let's start again.
Okay.
I am Havadisa Argosaz.
Havadisa.
My father, Santiago, is the Lord High Architect of the Imperium. House Argosaz holds the primary CHOAM contract to design the many industrial and residential structure templates found across the Imperium. Do you have business with House Argosaz?
Tell me more about your house.
For many millennia, House Argosaz was actually a house minor in the orbit of the great House Quays. At the time,
the
lords of House Quays were renowned for the dramatic design philosophy, which was centered on gilded and ornate flourishes. I believe the old Terran name for it was Rococo.
Never heard of House Quays.
House Quays was closely aligned with House Tantor, the renegade house responsible for the Seleucid Holocaust. Fortunately, the young Emperor Hasek Carino III
Carino sounds familiar.
And moved the imperial throne to Kaitain.
Okay.
They were purged alongside all other houses with allegiance to Tantor. And with their elimination went the Imperium's taste for golden filigree.
Okay. Is that where House Argosaz comes in?
That is when my ancestor, Gundisalvo Argosaz, came forward with a practical minimalist design style that rejected the drama of old. The young emperor embraced his vision for clean, uncomplicated lines and angular geometric shapes wrought in unvarnished materials. Gaze out across the Arrakis Badlands, or any frontier vista on any world in the Imperium, and you will see our work.
So this is just lore.
As it happens, my diplomatic billet was supposed to be in Arrakeen, but one can hardly observe frontier conditions from behind great walls.
Chose to be here instead of the comfort of a city.
Don't fool yourself. The city has as many, if not more, jackals than anywhere in the Badlands. But I'm here for a purpose.
Yes?
I'm in the planning stages for a new homestead design that can withstand the rigors of the deep desert.
Griffin's Reach is hardly the deep desert.
Of course, a sojourn into the waste is preferable, but my father is conservative and would never authorize such an expedition. Nor would he authorize my presence here, for that matter. But if I cannot experience the deep desert firsthand, I must speak with those who have.
Did you get all that? Did you get all that? Yeah. So, how do I...
Oh, good. You're back.
What were we negotiating? Huh? I thought we were supposed to be negotiating. Hey. Hey. Okay. This whole time this was here and I didn't know. It's on the other side. Nothing. Wait, okay, so... Huh? Where do I thought... I already forgot his name. Zantara said that I could deposit my money here. I've been lied to. Those don't change. I will stay here. With all my money. Holy heck! That's a lot, actually. Deposit the money in the worm. When did I get this much money? Oh, I can research it now. Passive protects user from taking damage from falling automatically kicks on at damaging speeds and will persist as long as the user has power. Wah! I have plenty. Wah! Worm is the best bank, guys. Wait. Okay, and then shields. I think if I had shields while crossing the desert, that's when I'll get eaten. I have so much stuff. How come I didn't notice I picked these up? I want to test it out. Immediately dies. Okay, wait. No, I'm not gonna risk it. Just in case. I need to go back into the... I need to go back here and get more stuff. But that'll be for next time. Okay? 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 Yes. How do I end the stream again? Thank you everybody for coming in. I hope you guys had fun. I sure did. I will be back maybe tomorrow. Maybe? I don't know. I don't know my schedule yet. I'm still working on things behind the scenes. I have a couple more things to draw for my panels. I still need more emotes. I forgot to turn on my my little thingy that I drew. Wow, okay. Next time. I'll turn it into a PNG tuber. Which is more work for me. It's fine. But yes, I will call it here. Somebody's being loud outside, but Sophie Ren, you are the V leader. I don't remember what I used to say for that. But hi, welcome in. I am ending now. So